Hello, my name is Genevieve Johnson, and the title of my Photovoice project is called The Hidden Language. I was inspired by my students' love for their environment, our new ELA standards, where we are teaching students to read multimodal texts. And I thought that we need to invite the part of our community that's always in the background but is the most essential for all of our survival, and that is the natural world. And I thought it would be very interesting if students could scientifically look for patterns in the natural world. And that's why I'm doing this project as an interdisciplinary project with my colleague who teaches chemistry, Nichole Chapman, and also as a text, because if we look at nature having conversations with us, what is nature trying to tell us? Wang and Burris summary. This is the original Photovoice research. Okay, it's grounded in Freire's critical pedagogy, feminist theory, and documentary photography. Um, it's a great advocate for social change. It documents community strengths and concerns. Individuals become not just participants, but they are being their own researchers. So it really does give agency to the participants. Um, the limitations were we don't really know what the long term impact that this kind of study has on a community. The implications for K-12 education are strong. They encourage student voice and agency. Students are researchers and advocates. Supports visual literacy, critical thinking, discussion and reflection, as well as writing and communication skills. And it also aligns with culturally responsive teaching by centering students' lived experiences. Marquez Zenkoff and Harmon. Photo voice in an urban high school setting, students really identified caring teachers, positive adult relationships, extracurricular involvement, and high expectations, and where they found that on their school campus in the adults who provided that in the areas where they got that. This was the strengths of this study were that it was highly relevant to ELA and literacy education, combined visual and written data for rich qualitative insights, and demonstrates the effectiveness of multimodal literacy practices. Limitations only happen in one school, so it would be great if there were more studies in more urban environments. Implications for K-12 education. This supports visual literacy, multimodal composition, critical reflection, student voice, and agency. Farley Brooks and Pope 2017 summary. We had two projects done. One was a sixth grade health study where 13 urban sixth graders answered the research question, what does being healthy look like and what barriers do we face in being healthy? And these students photographed aspects of their lives related to health, reflected on images, discussed themes with peers, and created a community photo exhibition. The second project was with middle school and teacher education partnership participants. So you had pre-service teachers and you had middle school 7th and 8th grade students. And they answered the research questions. What do I wish teachers knew about me? What motivates me to learn? What makes a great teacher? Evaluation strengths shows how Voice can strengthen teacher-student relationships. Limitations, the participation groups were rather small. Implications for K through 12 education, develops oral language and writing skills, promotes critical reflection, and fosters stronger teacher-student relationships. This photo is called Living Among Us. It's a deer near human structures. I like this photo because even though the doe is centered in the photograph, she's still camouflaged amongst the bushes, and yet once you see her, you can't not see her. And I feel like this is great for students to realize that our natural habitats and the animals that we live around, their habitats overlap, and we need to be aware of who we are living with. They animals are very aware of us, and therefore, how do we live, coexist in ways where we can make sure that our natural environment thrives. This is called A Message We Can't Ignore. This is a huge tree that's fallen in the middle of a road after a storm. Storms are becoming bigger than they were before. They're becoming more dangerous than they were before. And I like that this is a warning from Mother Nature that we need to curb our behavior. We need to make drastic changes to how we live on this earth, because if not, we're going to meet some disasters. So this tree falling in the middle of the road to me is a great chance for students to take a look at that and to interpret a very blatant message that nature is trying to communicate to us. This is called the Watcher. It's a hawk in a tree. And this is a silent observer watching the world, watching all of us. And if we don't slow down and pay attention, we'll miss him. We'll miss him in a tree. He is in a place of authority, in a position high up in a network of branches in a tree. And he's almost overseeing everything around in his environment, and we are part of that environment. I think this is a great photo for students to interpret, to look at scientifically the network of branches, and to look at the hierarchy in a natural environment as well. This picture is called One Voice Many Petals, and there is a bunch of blooming hydrangeas. And I love the patterns, the repetition of the tiny flowers clustered together in their sort of a symmetrical fractal structure of here, which is good for patterns. We're looking for patterns in science. And I love the theme of a collected voice that to me, these hydrangeas symbolize community. You know, here we are all together, single flowers, and then together a huge blooming bunch of flowers all together kind of create a collective identity. And so just the idea of community in these flowers, I think, is an excellent metaphor for that. We have about 7 churches in our school community. And I'm standing in a parking lot in one of them, and the sky, there's patterns in the clouds, and then you have this really beautiful sunset. And so this one is called Cathedrals of Sky and Stone. I love the juxtaposition here between the building, a church building that humans have made, and then nature's answer to what I would call a cathedral, a church, and what humans see as a place of worship, and where nature creates a place of worship for us, and the tension between the two and the conversations that can be had between these two. These are my references. Thank you for listening and reading my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.